Good day, everyone. This is Dr. Recuenco for Male Reproductive Tract Physiology. This presentation is intended for educational purposes only, so do not copy, upload, and sell, okay? Circulation or reproduction of this presentation is not allowed. For our learning objectives, at the end of this session, you, future doctor, must be able to demonstrate knowledge of the physiology of the male reproductive tract in relation to its reproductive and endocrine functions, okay? So let's go to the male reproductive tract physiology, and we have to touch a little bit about its anatomy, okay, for us to understand the connections, etc. So two most basic components of the reproductive system in the males, you have your gonads and reproductive tract. Okay, gonads, yung egg, okay? Ito, si testicle. Okay. So, babae, ovaries, no? Gonads. Ang clue mo dyan, yung letter O. Hanap ka ng something na letter O dyan. Yan. Testicle. And then the reproductive tract. So let's talk about the gonad. This is distinct from other endocrine gland because they also perform an exocrine function. Bukod sa hormones na sinisecrete ng testis, meron ding mga sperms, okay, na nilalabas, okay? So, exocrine function pertains to your gametogenesis. Okay? So, again, endocrine, yung hormones mo, testosterone, etc., etc. Diba? Lorna Tolentino, Leydig cell will produce testosterone, etc. And then, meron din siyang exocrine function because gumagawa siya ng sperms. And sinisecrete niya yan, in-excrete niya yan. Okay. So, several aspects of gamete development, function, and transport are all functions of your male reproductive tract physiology. So, women, it will allow for fertilization, implantation, and gestation. Okay. Again, function niya, spermatogenesis. Genesis, meaning gagawa ka ng sperm. Male sexual act performance. Regulation of male reproductive function through hormones, which also affects cellular metabolism and growth. Diba? Yung testosterone, may effect sa muscle, sa male features, such as yung hair, etc. Okay? So, male reproductive tract physiology. Let's describe first yung tract mismo. Okay? So, the testis, start ka dyan sa gonad, no? Testis has the seminiferous tubule. May mga seminiferous tubules yan. Kita nyo yung mga green. Okay? Connected to 6-meter long tube. Epididymis yun. Okay? Epididymis, ano si epididymis dyan? Here you go. This one. Okay? Yan, yung green. So, may iba't ibang parts yan. May head, tail, etc. Anatomy will take care of that. Anyway, epididymis for physio, just know the function, physio, function, okay? Epididymis enables mobility of sperm, okay? Para makagalaw ang sperm. Then, saan siya pupunta? Sa vas deferens, okay? Know the sequence, vas deferens will store the sperm, okay? What else? Meron pa diyang walnut-shaped organ responsible for secretory function. That's your prostate gland, okay? Then meron ding seminal vesicles, anatomy niya, that form the ejaculatory ducts, then ampulla of vas deferens, then urethra. Urethra is the external connection of testis papunta sa malamang external environment. The penis is external relative to the body, and this is supplied with mucus derived from urethral glands and bulbourethral glands. Mucus secretion needed for maintaining moisture of this environment and secretions responsible for lubrication. Okay, may sinisecrete na mucus din yung urethra. To assist in reproductive function. Kita niyo yung green? That's the path ng sperm from synthesis dito sa testicle to secretion, okay, to ejaculation rather. So, ginawa dito, pinamature dyan, in-store here, hanggang sa in-eject sa urethra. Okay? Ulit, the testis is composed of up to 900 coiled seminiferous tubules, each averaging more than half-meter long, in which the sperm are formed. The sperm then empty into the epididymis, which is another coiled tube, as is epididymis. Yan. 6 meters ang haba. Epididymis leads into the vas deferens or ductus deferens. Here na, ductus deferens, which enlarges into the ampulla of the vas deferens. Ampulla. Okay? Amp. Immediately before the vas enters the body of the prostate gland. So, bago pumasok sa prostate, andito siya, ha? Mag-merge yan sa ampulla. Again, bago pumasok sa prostate. 2 seminal vesicles, one located on each side of the prostate, empty into the prostatic end of the ampulla, and the contents from both the ampulla and the seminal vesicle pass into an ejaculatory duct leading through the body of the prostate gland and then emptying into the internal urethra. Internal, nasa loob pa eh. Okay? Internal urethra. Prostatic ducts also empty from the prostate gland into the ejaculatory duct and from there into the prostatic urethra. Urethra na nasa loob ng prostate. Okay? Urethra, remember from your renal physio, dinadaanan ng ihi rin. Finally, the urethra is the last connecting link from the testis papunta doon sa exterior environment. The urethra is supplied with mucus nga, kanina sabi natin, derived from a large number of minute urethral glands located along its entire length, and even more so from bilateral bulbourethral glands or Cowper glands. Here. Okay? Located near the origin of urethra, ang Cowper's glands. Know the sequence, kahit yung ito lang, no? So, ginawa, seminiferous tubules, papunta saan, epididymis, then vas deferens. Testis contains seminiferous tubules, ito yung sinasabi natin kanina, contained by, ito yung balat, scrotum, for temperature regulation, no? Dapat 1 to 2 degrees lower than your body temp yan, otherwise patay mga sperms dyan. Okay? Histology, not so much. I won't ask about histo, definitely. This is a physio class. So, alamin nyo lang dapat, saan na-synthesize, saan masastore, magmamature, anong ginagawa ng Leydig cells, etc., etc. Yan. Okay? And yung control, hypothalamic, pituitary, gonadal control. Nakikinig ba siya or hindi? Yan. Yan yung importance of physio. Okay? So, yan, no? Yung testis, pag chin-up, chop, morbid, pag in-slice mo yan, tinignan mo sa microscope, so you're gonna see the Sertoli cells, spermatids, etc. Leydig cells. Okay? Yun ang ibig sabihin yan. Spermatogonia dito sa periphery. And then, nagmamature yan paloob. No? Primary spermatocytes, secondary, hanggang sa pinaka nasa loob na spermatids. Okay? Yan. Nice to know yung histology. Epididymis is a coiled tube of 6 meters long. Highlight mo na yan, ha? 6 meters, epididymis. Epididymis. 5 syllables lang. Anyway, this one enables motility of sperm. Para makagalaw ang sperm, kailangan niya tumambay sa epididymis. Okay? Ang function pa niya, storage and final maturation site of spermatozoa. Final maturation site. Sino yan? Si epididymis. So, meron siyang head, body, and tail, no? Bago mag-ejac dyan sa vas deferens. Know the function of epididymis. Vas deferens, vas or ductus deferens. Duct, yan yung tube. Okay? May ampulla of the vas deferens. Function ng vas deferens, stores the sperm. Ampulla of vas deferens. Prostate gland, walnut-shaped, sinabi na natin kanina. It secretes milky, slightly acidic fluid, pH 6.5. Acidic yan, relative sa blood mo, 7.35 to 7.45 ang blood natin. And this one contains several substances. Prostate gland makes up about 25% or 1/4 of the volume of semen and contributes to sperm motility and viability as well. Yan, prostate na yan, no? 1/4 ng in-ejaculate ng male ay galing dito sa walnut-shaped gland na prostate. Highlight acidic prostate, acidic prostatic, acidic. Seminal vesicles forms the ejaculatory duct with the ampulla of the vas deferens. Si SV alkaline. Alkaline naman ang inaano nito. Fluid nito, ha? The paired seminal vesicles secrete alkaline viscous fluid that contains fructose, prostaglandins, and clotting proteins that are different from those in blood. Ano ulit yung laman niya ng secretions galing SV? Alkaline, tas viscous. Okay, malapot. It has fructose, yung sugar, prostaglandins, and clotting proteins. Fluid secreted by the seminal vesicles constitute about 60% of the volume of semen. Oh, mas marami siya, 60% to. 25% lang si prostate. Okay? So, during the process of emission and ejaculation, each seminal vesicle empties its contents into the ejaculatory duct shortly after the vas deferens empties the sperm. This action adds greatly to the bulk of the ejaculated semen, and the fructose and other substances in the seminal fluid are considerable nutrient value for the ejaculated sperm until one of the sperm fertilizes the ovum. Kumbaga parang may nutrition yung sperm habang nakatenga siya, no? Habang hindi pa niya nami-meet si ovum. Okay? Bakit kailangan niya mag-coagulate if mag-liquefy lang ulit? Because yung vagina, hostile environment yan sa sperm. Ayaw ng vagina sa sperm. Kasi, ano yan foreign ang sperm itatag yan, uy, may intruder. So if the semen won't coagulate, your acids in the vagina can now destroy the sperm easily. Masira niya yung sperm. Okay? Also, it hinders the immune cells of your female reproductive tract to easily reach the sperm. It needs to liquefy in order to be motile again. It would be useless if it stays in the vagina and won't pass through the fallopian tube. How does it coagulate? Via fibrinogen. How does it liquefy? Via fibrinolysin or profibrinolysin. Okay? Urethra. Ito na, urethra. Haba. External connection of testes to the external environment. Highlight niya, external connection, urethra. Supplied with mucus derived from urethral glands and bulbourethral glands, also known as Cowper's gland. Urethral and BU, bulbourethral glands, are derived from the US, urogenital sinus. Okay? From your lecture sa sex determination and differentiation. Clinical correlate, paano pag na-traumatize or na-injure ang urethra? What will happen? Okay? This is due to blunt trauma. For instance, MVC, motor vehicular crash or collision. Urethral injury occurs almost exclusively in males. Kakaroon ng blood sa urethral meatus. Kala mo menstruation siya pero hindi kasi lalaki, no? Hematuria, may blood sa ihi, sa urine. Difficulty voiding, hirap po umihi, masakit po umihi. So kapag ganyan, ang gagawin mo pag may patient ka na male presenting with hematuria and may history ng trauma, ika-catheterize mo ba pag nagreklamo siyang hindi ako makaihi, doc? Hindi. Okay? Urethral catheterization is relatively contraindicated. Okay? Anterior versus posterior urethral injury, nice to know. Okay. So, anterior versus posterior urethral injury. Depende sa mechanism ng trauma ng patient. Anterior perineal straddle injury. Pag posterior, usually may pelvic fracture. Okay? Penis. Anong function niya? It functions for passage of both urine and semen. Okay? Main parts are the root or radix, the body or corpus, and epithelium of the penis, including the shaft and foreskin, yung prepuce, covering the glands. Okay, yung tip. So, may prepuce yan. Ito si glands. May yung foreskin dyan, prepuce yun. Okay? Ito si glands, prepuce. Body of the penis is made up of 3 columns of tissue. You have 2 cavernosa, isang spongiosum. So, pag chinap-chop mo to dito, pinutol mo yan, tapos tinignan mo cross-sectionally, para siyang smiley face, no? Ay, hindi siya nakasmile. Anyway, 2 cavernosa, isang spongiosum. Details nun, sa anatomy niya na yan, or histoclass. Okay? Pathway of sperm. Saan ulit ginagawa ang sperm? Sa testes. Okay? Sa gonad, sa testicle. O, tapos, saan pupunta? Trace mo lang. I-trace mo yan, no? Yan. Okay? Must know to. So alamin mo. Must know nga eh. 7 up ang mnemonic. Seminiferous tubule sa testes. Papunta sa epididymis, final maturation, storage, vas deferens, ejaculatory ducts. Ito, pang-kumpleto lang ng mnemonic. Then urethra and then penis. Okay? 7 up. Know the sequence. Papare-arrange ko yan. Formation of sperm, also known as your spermatogenesis, occurs saan? Highlight sa ST. Sa seminiferous tubules of your testicle. It starts at puberty at around 13 years old and occurs throughout the life of a male. Okay? Tandaan na, seminiferous tubules ang spermatogenesis. Ayan, pag video mo yan sa microscope, usually dito yung row eh. Medyo hilaw-hilaw pa, spermatogonium, then primary, secondary, hanggang ayun na. Spermatids na. Okay? Paloob, mas mature. Okay? Spermatocyte, spermatid, hanggang magkaroon na ng tail na maayos. acrosome, etc. We call your seminiferous tubules. Again, mas periphery, immature yung mga yan. Mas gitna, mas mature na yung sperm. Okay? Spermatogonia maintain germ cell pool and produce primary spermatocytes. So, yung pinaka-lolo. Okay? Si lolo, manganganak ng si tatay, primary spermatocyte, and secondary, si son, etc. etc. Nasa si spermatogonia, nandun sa seminiferous tubules. Sa lining or periphery, ha? Okay. Lang naman. Spermatogenesis. Yung primary germ cell galing sa ectoderm. Okay? Wala yung external yan sa testis. Yung primordial germ cell. Then ma-migrate na lang yan. Upon crossing the barrier, they enlarge, magiging primary spermatocyte, etc. etc. Yan. Spermatogonia undergo mitotic divisions upon crossing the barrier. To the Sertoli layer, enlarge and becomes primary spermatocytes. Primary spermatocytes will become the template for meiosis. So, yung primary spermatocyte, mag-undergo ng meiosis 1, tandaan na, underline, meiosis 1, to become a secondary spermatocyte. Then, it will undergo meiosis 2. Alamin nyo kung sino ang nag-meiosis 2, si primary ba, si secondary? Si secondary nga, ha? Secondary spermatocyte will undergo meiosis 2 to become the spermatids. Then, the spermatids will differentiate into mature sperms. Okay? So, there are 4 cells na produce ang 4 na spermatids. Product ng meiosis yan. Pero need pa mag-mature para may tail so they can swim, para functional so they can meet the egg during fertilization. Other nice to know stuff, meiosis 1 is also known as your reductional division. This one, you have separation of homologous chromosomes. Dalawang secondary spermatocytes are formed from a primary spermatocyte. Okay. Yan. What else? Chromosome number 46 magiging 23. 46 to, tig 23 sila. Okay. From 128 spermatogonia, magiging 256 ang spermatocytes. Meiosis 2 is also known as acquisitional division. Okay. It is a separation of sister chromatids. Each secondary spermatocyte divides into 2 spermatids, bawat isa. Mga anak ng dalawa. Okay? Half of the spermatids contain Y chromosome and become male sperms. The other half contains the X chromosome and become female sperms. From the 256 primary spermatocytes, you have 512 secondary spermatocytes. Duration of the entire process is 74 days. Nice to know. Again, each spermatogonium contains 23 pairs pares of chromosomes, which carries genetic information that determines the sex of each eventual offspring. So, depende nga sa daladalang sperm ng dad mo, kung ano pinang-fertilize sa ovum ng mom mo. Ovum, lagi namang X eh. Kung ito yung sperm na nanalo, edi XX ka, babae ka. Kung ito yung sperm na naka-fertilize sa ovum ng mom mo, edi XY ka, lalaki ka. Okay? All the parts of the sperm, may acrosome, head, etc. Okay. For spermatogenesis, just know sino ang magma-meiosis 1, sino ang magma-meiosis 2. Is it your primary or secondary spermatocyte? Again, cross-sectional picture or histologic specimen ng seminiferous tubule surrounded by a basement membrane, itong letter A, and myoepithelial cells. May spermatogonia, yung B, paano nalaman spermatogonia? Yan nasa periphery eh. Okay. Which lie on the basement membrane. May primary spermatocytes and spermatozoa. Yan. Sa loob sila ng blood-testis barrier. Sertoli cells, yung tinuturo ng arrow, they have elongated and pale staining nucleus. Nice to know ang histo for us. Sa physio class. Okay. Again, spermatogenesis occurs in the seminiferous tubules. Puproduce ka ng spermatids doon that undergo spermiogenesis para mag-mature ang spermatozoa mo. Gonium is going to be a sperm. Zoon is zooming to egg. Okay. Tail mobility is impaired in some diseases. Kapag wala kang buntot, yung sperm mo, infertile ang male. Tail mobility is normal in cystic fibrosis. Ang problema lang sa cystic fibrosis, walang vas deferens. So, infertile rin siya kahit gumagalaw-galaw naman yung sperm. No? Yung ductus deferens ang may problema, blocked sila, barado. O, paano makaka-ejaculate yung male? E di, extractin mo na lang. No? Tusukin mo, tapos extractin mo. And in vitro fertilization, if gusto magkaanak. Fundamental architecture of the sperm, you have your midpiece. Ito may midpiece. Maraming mitochondria, yung yellow-brown substance dyan. It supplies energy para makaswim ang sperm. Then you have the tail, responsible for its mobility. And may sombrero, okay? May cap, acrosome or cap, which performs an important function which you will learn later. Parts of a mature sperm cell. Kunyari, na-synthesize mo na, okay, yung spermatogenesis mo. Anong parts ng mature sperm cell? Dapat may ulo. Okay? Ulo is comprised of condensed nucleus of the cell. No? Andiyan yung nucleus ng sperm cell. With only a thin cytoplasmic and cell membrane layer around its surface. Ang laki ng nucleus, konti na lang yung swimming pool niya, yung cytosol. Anterior 2/3 of the head is a thick cap called the acrosome. Anterior 2/3, acrosome, sombrero. That is formed mainly from the Golgi apparatus. Acrosome contains several enzymes similar to those found in lysosomes, suicidal sac, of the typical cell. Okay? Examples ng enzyme, hyaluronidase. Ang function niyan, digest proteoglycan filaments of the tissues. Proteolytic enzymes can digest proteins present din sa acrosome. Know the function of acrosome? Tatanong ko yan. Enzymes play important roles in allowing the sperm to enter the ovum and fertilize it. Highlight ang acrosome. Body or midpiece, sinabi na natin, daming mitochondria. Kung walang midpiece yung sperm mo, hindi rin makakagalaw yan. Walang mitochondria. No energy to supply yung movement nito or to support yung movement. Tail or flagellum is very similar to the structure of organization of cilia. It requires para, ATP, and calcium for motility, for back and forth motion. Yan. Tail or flagellum contains 3 major components. Itong buntot mo. You have your central skeleton constructed of 11 microtubules collectively called axoneme, thin cell membrane covering the axoneme, and collection of mitochondria surrounding the axoneme in the proximal portion of the tail called the body of the tail. Must know ang parts ng mature sperm cell. Okay? Nasa ng mitochondria, nasa ulo ba, midpiece ba, o tail? Siyempre, ang mo, mitochondria, middle. Acrosome, letter A. Ulo, okay? Unang-una yan, letter A. So, yun yung sperm. Na maayos na mature, gumagalaw. Yan. As you can notice, meron ding hindi gumagalaw. It can be dead na, or walang mitochondria, pagod na siya, etc. Or, pangit ang na-form na sperm here. May problem siguro sa midpiece, etc. Or sa tail. Clinical correlation, you have the following disease. Cartaginer syndrome, characterized by infertility due to immotile sperm sa patients. Yan sa Cartaginer. Hindi makagalaw. So, hindi niya mamimit si ovum. Unless, diretso mo na si sperm doon kay ovum. No? Ang flagellum sa Cartaginer's syndrome affected. Okay. Cartaginer, pag present sa male, immotile yung sperm. May aspermia or azoospermia. Nandyan si ovum, inaantay ma-fertilize. Kaso, wala namang hindi makagalaw yung sperm. Sino mag-a-adjust? Alangan naman biglang lagyan mo ng buntot to, di ba? Hindi naman pwede. Sa female na may Cartaginer syndrome, non-functional ang fallopian tube cilia. Yung mga buhok-buhok dyan, sa fallopian tube mo, yung cilia dyan, no? Parang tagawalis yan boom, go, go, go. Pag na-fertilize siya, no? Para makababa dito sa uterus. Yun naman yung problema sa female na may Cartaginers. Yun, no? Immotile. Baka Cartaginers ang problema niya. Okay? Cilia, representative of Cartaginer syndrome. So, may dynein arm defect. Immotile cilia. Poor epithelia, so may infertility. Hormones affecting spermatogenesis. Para okay ang pag-synthesize mo ng sperm, ano dapat ang kailangan mo? Testosterone. Okay? For growth and division of spermatogonia. Para lumaki siya at mag-divide, etc. This is the major androgen synthesized and secreted by highlight Leydig cell, LT, diba? LT, in the interstitium of the testes. This is for primary and secondary male characteristics as well. Deepening ng voice mo. Increases RBC characteristic. Ano daw? Yan, dapat high level ang intratesticular testosterone para okay ang spermatogenesis mo. Okay? Sa testicles, dapat marami kang testosterone para okay ang spermatogenesis. Again, testosterone galing yan sa cholesterol. No? Yan. Cholesterol na pregnant, pero punta siya dun sa 17-alpha. Chuchu. Hanggang makaform ng testosterone. Oh. Later na yung DHT. Recall lang, you need your testosterone. Okay? Para sa spermatogenesis. And some sexual characteristics ng males. So, ginagawa si testosterone sa Leydig cells. Testosterone, pupunta dito, papakialaman niya yung spermatogenesis. As seen here. Testosterone, ginawa ni Leydig, bumiyahe dito. Okay? And then, napakialaman niya na, pinopromote niya na ang spermatogenesis. Sinong nanay nitong testosterone? Si cholesterol. Okay? Paano pagbabiyahe siya sa blood? Si testosterone, paano siya, pwede ba yan magbiyahe sa blood? Cholesterol-based yan. May cyclopentano. Phenanthrene, CPP. Okay? So, just like your adrenal hormones, cortisol, etc., kailangan nyo sumakay sa taxi. Ang testosterone, para makatravel sa blood, sumasakay siya usually kay GBG. Gonadal Steroid Binding Globulin. Taxi siya, no? Ang pasahero ito. Minsan, pag puno to, ayaw niya sumakay dyan, kay albumin siya makikiride. 2% lang yung nagsiswimming, okay? Ayaw, or naglalakad, parang, eto nagbabas, eto nagji-jeep, yung mga testosterone. 2% naglalakad na lang, no? From Commonwealth papuntang school nyo. Layo, di ba? Okay? GBG, gonadal binding globulin. Pag tinanong kita, testosterone, or majority of the testosterone is bound to blank in order to travel in the blood. GBG yung sagot. Okay? You also have your luteinizing hormone, which stimulates the secretion of testosterone. Tatapikin ni LH si Leydig cell. Babatukan niya, hoy Leydig cell. Ilabas mo na yan. Oh. Synthesize mo na yan. Sino ang isa-synthesize ng Leydig? Si testosterone. Okay? LH, galing ka anterior pituitary. Okay? Kumbaga, ito si tatay, ito si lolo. Hypothalamus will secrete gonadotropin releasing hormone. Punta kay anterior pituitary. Gumawa ka ng LH. LH, punta ka kay testicle. Tapikin mo si Leydig cell para maglabas ng testosterone. Okay? Then, pag may testosterone na, babiyahe yan, pwedeng sa blood, sasakay muna siya kay GBG or kay albumin, or pumunta siya lang dun sa katabi, sa katabing cell. Okay? Kanina, galing siya kay Leydig. O, ngayon, galing siya sa cell ng seminiferous tubule. Okay? Para sa spermatogenesis. FSH, paano naman kung ang nilabas ni tatay dito sa anterior pituitary ay si follicle stimulating hormone? O, kung sa babae, di may follicle. Pero sa lalaki, ang trabaho ni FSH is conversion of spermatids to sperm. SSS, di ba? FSH, pag FSH to, tatapikin yung something na may S, si Sertoli cell, para sa spermatogenesis. Okay? Estrogen, kailangan pa ba yan? Lalaki to? Oo naman. Essential for spermatogenesis. Alam niyo yung definition nito, ha? Backtrack nyo. Nabanggit yan kanina. Okay? This is formed from the testosterone by Sertoli cells when they are stimulated by FSH. Ano daw? This is formed from, ayan no, si testosterone. Binabae mo siya, inaromatize mo siya, pinabango mo siya. Saan siya na-convert si testosterone papuntang estrogen? Sa Sertoli cells. Okay? Kailan na-convert? Pag diniktahan ni FSH. Okay? FSH, may letter S, Sertoli cell for spermatogenesis. Oh, ito yung clue mo. May F pang female ba yan? Hindi. Hindi naman laging pang female, no? Pero ang clue mo dyan, mag-synthesize din ng estrogen ang signal ni FSH. Pag andyan si FSH, si tatay FSH o si testosterone, mako-convert sa estradiol dito sa Sertoli cells. Estrogen is also essential for spermiogenesis. Growth hormone, background metabolism of the testes. Kapag wala kang growth hormone, sterile ang pasyente. Okay. So, important rin siya. Okay. Semen. When sperm is ejaculated, it is ejaculated through a liquid medium called your semen. Your semen. The semen. Sige, the semen na lang. 10% ng semen galing sa vas deferens. Okay. Total cellular material ng semen galing dito. 60% galing kay seminal vesicles. SV, dami. Okay. It has the fructose for nutrition ng sperm habang hindi pa niya nami-meet si ovum. Okay. Citric acid, prostaglandin, and fibrinogen. This one will react with female cervical mucus. Okay. Ito naman, 25 to 30% fluid from the prostate gland. May iba pang laman yan, calcium citrate, pang-alkalinize ng konti, phosphate, gating enzyme, and pro-fibrinolysin. Pero yung prostatic, acidic prostatic secretion, acidic. Seminal vesicle, slightly basic. 90% ang total fluid sa semen. 10% kasi, mga sperms, no? Mga cells, cellular material. Okay? 10% nga from vas deferens, tas sperm yun, the rest fluid. Diba? 60 kay SV, 30 kay prostate. 90% lang yung fluid, yung liquid Yung solid, 10%. Ano yung mga solid na yun? Mga sperms na. Amount of semen is quantifiable. How much is produced? How much is ejaculated? Mostly fluid yon. 10% lang ang sperms. Okay. Summary of composition of semen. Memorize for your laboratory activity. Should be white, opalescent. Specific gravity is 1.028. This is the pH. Kasi nga, mas maraming sinisecrete sa seminal vesicle. So, mas panalo siya. Sperm, 10% lang siya ng sinicrete or in-ejaculate ng male. Okay. May mga abnormal sperms din dyan, 20%. There are other components, okay, primarily from seminal vesicles. Meron din from prostate. And some buffers, no, para mag-resist ng changes in pH. Know the functions of each component ng semen. Fructose, sugar yan for energy production. This one will enter your glycolysis. No? 2 pesos ka dyan pag anaerobic. Enzymes and clotting factors para mag-coagulate after ejaculation. Ba't kailangan i-coagulate? Protection, no? Habang wala pa yung ovum. Prostaglandin for motility and viability. Basic stuff, spermine and others, provides alkalinity. Prostatic fluid, you have citric acid used by sperm for ATP production via the citric acid cycle or Krebs cycle. 10 pesos per round yan. Some proteolytic enzyme para pag andyan na si ovum, andun na siya sa loob. O di, lusawi mo na, makaswimming na siya. A breakdown of the clotting proteins from the seminal vesicle. Seminal plasmin, antibiotic. Bulbourethral fluid, lubricant during sexual intercourse. Fluid and sperm from the vas deferens. Ang component niya ay malamang yung cells na sperm, the male gamete, metocytes. It's capacitation. O, pag nakalimutan yung capacitation, parang sa ulo, may tinanggal ka sa ulo. Okay? The uterine and fallopian tube fluids will wash away inhibitory factors of the sperm. The sperm loses its cholesterol cap. Sperm membrane becomes more permeable to calcium. Yan ang capacitation. Okay? Parang inayos mo lang ang ulo niya. Yan. Parang ang pangit ng ulo ni Koya. O di, ayusin natin. Yan. Ginupitan mo. Okay? Removal of cholesterol. Tanda na, cholesterol cap. Capacitation yan. Inayos mo lang itsura ng head. Okay? Ang kailangan mo dyan, uterus and fallopian tube. Acrosome reaction. Fertilization usually takes place in your fallopian tube. Okay? Yun yung, malamang tube nga na naglilink ng ovary sa matres. Okay? Ovary papuntang uterus. If the fertilized egg successfully travels down the fallopian tube and implants in the uterus, An embryo starts growing. Acrosome is responsible for penetration ng sperm sa egg. Okay? Bakit nakaka-penetrate yung sperm sa egg? It's because of the acrosome reaction. Mediated by hyaluronidase, proteolytic enzyme, pang-breakdown yan ng zona pellucida. Tandaan na ang acrosome reaction. Yan. Pang-breakdown ng ano? Ng zona pellucida para makapasok ang sperm sa egg. So, ovarian granulosa cell. Specific details ng acrosome reaction, nice to know. Okay. Just know the functions ng mga enzymes involved in acrosome reaction. Para saan si acrosome reaction? Again, for penetration. Hyaluronidase depolymerizes hyaluronic polymers in the intercellular cement that holds the ovarian granulosa cells together. Pang-penetrate. Okay? Penetrate the walls of the egg until their membranes fuse. The sperm can now release their DNA into the egg, etc. You need this enzyme. Okay? Proteolytic enzyme naman is needed for the digestion of proteins in the structural elements of the tissue cells that still adhere to the ovum. Dami, no? Just know the two enzymes needed for acrosome reaction. And para saan ang acrosome reaction? Pang penetration nga. Okay? Penetration. Ng ovum by the sperm. Yan. Para ma-traverse na itong zona pellucida. Sperm motility. What are the factors that affect motility ng sperm? As you can remember, sperm lang ang only vertebrate cell that has a flagellum. Okay? Motility is important. Bakit? For traveling and reaching the egg, para ma-penetrate din sa egg. Here are the factors that affect sperm's motility. First, temperature. It should be less than 1 to 2 degrees Celsius. Basta less than 3 degrees Celsius ng normal body temperature natin. Paano yung mga cryptorchids, Doc? Hindi bumaba ang testis. Hindi nasa bandang abdomen yan. Mainit yun. 37, di ba? Yung body temp. Ano mangyayari doon? Motility will be impaired in cryptorchids patient. Okay? Naluto ang testis niya, yung testicle niya. Maluluto ang eggs pag hindi mo trinit yan. Okay? Yung mga cryptorchids. Cryptorchidism patients. Sperm count, the normal is 35 to 200 million per ml. Pag less than 20 million ang na-inject mo per milliliter, abnormal yun. Okay? Tandaan, competition, di lahat na-assume successfully, survival of the fittest. So, dapat maraming sperm, no? Kasi nga, may 20% dyan na abnormal. Sperm morphology, when you say morphology, form, okay, itsura. As much as one half have abnormal morphology. Okay, so maybe morphologically normal, pero dysfunctional naman. Okay yung itsura, pero yung function niya, walay. Wala palang mitochondria. Okay. More than half are motile, more than 1/3 are normal in form. Normal semen analysis values. This should be the normal volume. Okay. Concentration, sperm. Dapat more than half gumagalaw. More than 1/3 or 30%, normal ang itsura. Tapos ito yung pH.